how mature is the Indian market in terms of product adoption, in terms of awareness about the product as compared to the rest of the world out there, probably.
Technically, if you look at it, there is no market for mature adults in India because that concept doesn't exist. If you go and ask consumers today, are you using an age specific product or an age specific solution? They sort of lift their eyebrows, and they frown. What do you mean by age specific solution? Because most people are very happy using the legacy brands and the legacy products.
Hi Nagesh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you,
Great,
Mohit?
great, great, Nagesh. Right. So before we start the discussion, let me set the context and the pace of session today. Right. So today we have Mr. Nagesh, who is founder and CEO at SilverEdge. Right. So today we'll be talking about the journey of SilverEdge, how it all started, and so on and so forth. Right. So before we start the discussion, I would personally like to know more about you, about your firm, how the startup idea came into the picture, and how it evolved to what it is today. So if you can shed some light over there, it will be great.
Sure. Thank you, Mohit. So let me start with a brief background about myself and how we arrived at the concept of Silver Edge. Right from the beginning, I'm a thoroughbred advertising professional, if I may say so. Spent about 25, 28 years in advertising, right? Managing large brands for MNCs, for working on Unilever brands, P&G brands, and a lot of telecom brands. So I have honed my skill in brand management, in creating brands, brand storytelling, things like that. So that's really where my forte is, right? Having done that, seen that all, over the past 25, 20 years, 28 years, COVID was really the turning point. You had ample time, and you really started asking life questions, right? What is it that I want to do? Is there, some re-engineering that needs to be done? And, I sort of hit the milestone of, 50 years of my life during COVID. And that was when, the turning point happened. And I said, what else can I do? Being entrepreneurial by nature, I said, what else is it that I can do that can, add value to to myself, to my career, and to the things that I do. So one of the ideas that I have been toying around with was, came from a genuine insight, and the insight is primarily the fact that if you look at today's landscape of products available in the market, there are absolutely no brands, services, products that cater to the aspirations and needs of the mature adult. And which mature adults I'm defining as a 40 to 60-year-old. Almost all the brands in the landscape today available talk to the emerging needs of the youth population, right? It's almost as if this cohort, the 40 to 60-year-old cohort is almost non-existent, and I'm a part of that cohort, right? And I just realized that, there are no brands in the marketplace that actually talk to me. And therefore, I realized that is there a gap that one can fulfill? And then, one thing led to the other, and it was like, peeling the onion and, getting to the core of it, except for the tourism industry, which sort of, caters tourism packages, by age groups and by consumer type. There's nobody else who's talking to this audience, and that's the germ of the idea, and that's where the idea sort of came in. And then I sort of engaged with some like-minded people who are part of my friend set. A couple of them sort of warmed up to the idea, and one thing led to the other, and we formed a company. And now today we have launched Silver Edge. Touch wood, we are doing well. We've been stormed with orders over the past 4 5 months, and that's been our journey so far.
Quite interesting bit right there. So you started off your entrepreneurial journey, if I'm not mistaken, at the age of 50, which is quite commendable, right? And
The
quite
second entrepreneurial journey, if I may say so, the second entrepreneurial journey.
second
Yes,
entrepreneurial journey.
yes,
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Great.
yes.
So, can you give me an overview of the industry size and what are the market dynamics that come into the play when we talk about this industry?
See, silver it is in two business categories. One is nutraceuticals, and the second is skincare, right? So, if you look at skincare is a huge market. Okay, it's almost a 20 25,000 crore market and growing year on year at a CAGR of about 5 to 6%, right? Penetration is also quite deep. Within that, the anti-aging segment itself is a large segment. Okay, so that's as far as the skincare industry is concerned. Then there is the entire segment of nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals was quite a nascent category, till about 2018 or 19, and then suddenly COVID happened, and what happened in COVID, right? People started, worrying about their health, about their immunity, about their, health upkeep, and people started proactively picking up nutraceutical products of the shelf, right? So products like biotin, names like curcumin, arginine, they all sort of became a part of our common lexicon. They were words that were, almost unheard of, till about 2019, 2018, and people started reading the back of the pack, back of the label, what qualities it has, what it does, and they started picking it up and starting using it for proactive, prevention of ill health. So that's one big change happened, and today nutraceutical is a sunrise industry, and we are sort of hoping to make a small dent within that.
Right, right, Nagesh. Interesting, interesting. Now I wonder that how mature is the Indian market as compared to the rest of the world out there, probably. So you mentioned that COVID played a pivotal role in defining the consumers' needs and what they want, right?
Right.
So if you can shed some light over there, it will be great.
When you say mature in terms of what? What is the
So in
context?
terms of product adoption, in terms of awareness about the products, so on and so forth.
In our category that we're talking.
Correct, correct.
Okay, so let me step back for you. Technically, if you look at it, there is no market for mature adults in India. Okay, because that concept doesn't exist. If you go and ask consumers today, are you using an age specific product or an age specific solution? They sort of lift their eyebrows, and they frown. What do you mean by age specific solution? Because most people are very happy using the legacy brands and the legacy products that they've been using over the years, right? That's because they got habituated to it, right? But the reality of the fact of the matter is that as you age, your body undergoes physiological changes, right? Every 5 years, it's a proven scientific fact that every 5 years the body undergoes physiological changes, and therefore, you need to change what your vitamin intake, your mineral intake, your skin solutions, and so on and so forth, to be in sync with the changing time, and with the changing needs of the body. So this is a concept that is not known much to people. So what happens is that, in the absence of this knowledge and in the absence of this understanding, people are happy with what they're using, right? So therefore, our task at SilverEdge is, twofold. One is we need to create a brand and become the lighthouse brand for the segment that we're talking to mature adults. At the same time, we have a huge education exercise, because we need to go out there and educate that what you've been using for the past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years may not be true at this age. What you need is an age specific solution. So be it nutraceuticals, be it skincare, be it anything else. So that's really, the context of the market and the consumer position as on today.
Correct, correct, correct. Interesting. For every industry, there are some key driving factors which come into the play, right? So, what are the key driving factors in case of skincare and this industry?
So the largest thing, for skincare and both nutraceutical, is the efficacy of the product. How well does this product? Why should I buy this product? Is a big question that everybody has, right? So if you look at the evolution of the skincare category, first it was all about functionality, then functional benefits, then it was all about, talking about emotional benefits, right? And if you look at a Dove, Dove has, reached this value stage of life where they speak about real beauty, real women, right? But barring that, if you look at every other skincare brand, they are now today speaking of the fact that they contain certain ingredients which do XYZ, right? So it is, one is back to nature, you know so nature led product ingredient, and the second thing is, what does that nature led product ingredient do for me as an efficacy claim, right? So efficacy, do good values, and efficacy and ingredient, three, these are the three stories that are playing out in the entire category, and that's true also for nutraceuticals. So why buy me is the question that we need to answer, for most of these consumers, and that is what we've set out to do for the age audience that we are talking to.
Correct, correct. You rightly mentioned that. Now, so you have been in this industry since quite few years now, right? So I'm sure
Right.
you might have interacted with a lot of consumers and users of your product, right? So, in your opinion, what are the challenges that a consumer is facing in today's day and age?
consumer, the challenges being faced from a product perspective or from
From the end user perspective.
okay. So see, we've been doing a lot of consumer listening, so we have database of our own consumers, and we have access to a lot of consumer panels. So we keep speaking to consumers. So some of the things that people are concerned about in today's times are, how can I extend my health, right? So one of the big cultural changes that are happening in India, Mohit, is the fact that people are happy in the skin that they are. Today, they are saying that I don't want to reverse the process of aging, right? I don't want to, stop the natural process of aging or reverse the process of aging by doing unnecessary things. But if I can extend my good health, my skin health, my own physical good health by another few years, which means I've lived my life to the fullest. So that's one big change that is happening. Okay, that's one. That's from a health perspective, right? The second thing, change that is happening, especially amongst the audience that we are talking, is that they are now saying that I have done my completed my responsibilities. Okay, I am now stable and secure in life. I've taken care of the children, and their education. I have a certain amount of money that I set aside for my future. Now is the time when I want to follow and pursue my passion projects, things that I sacrificed when I was young and when I was growing up, to achieve my own career goals, is something that I now want to fulfill. So today you see more and more 40 to 60-year-olds are out there. They seek gratification, so they are traveling, they are seeing the world, they're enjoying all the experiences that are on the platter. So that's the second big change that is happening. And within that, we feel that none of the brands are talking to the emerging aspirations and needs of this audience, right? If there is a play that is happening to this audience, it's all about problem solution. Are you suffering from constipation? Are you suffering from joint problems? So things like that. But there is also another segment of people who have dreams and aspirations that needs to be fulfilled, right? Like any other cohort that exists out there in the market. And that is the gap that we are trying to fulfill with SilverEdge.
Quite interesting take right there, Nagesh, right? So, that brings me to my next question, which talks more about the solution that you are offering. So, how is it different from other players out there? What is your USP that you are highlighting, as your solution?
So our USP is two. One is the fact that the biggest thing is that we are calling out the audience that we are talking to, right? We are not one size fits all products, right? You open any Amazon brand store page, or you go to a a chemist outlet, there are dime a dozen nutraceutical products and skincare products. What do I buy which is specific to me, right? So either I know a brand and I'm going to pick that up, or then it becomes a price game, right? Whichever is the cheapest, I'll pick that up, right? But what I'm doing is that I'm calling out the consumer. I'm saying that, hey, you're a 40 to 60-year-old, and here are products that I've developed specifically for you, right? So that's one big change that we are doing. The second thing is our ingredient story, right? If you look at our products and the kind of formulations we have, the ingredient story is something that we are very proud of, and they are all do good ingredients, proven do good ingredients over a period of time. And the third thing, is that we are going to be launching a slew of products by the turn of this year, which are going to be speaking about the efficacy of our products in a much more stronger manner. So these are the three things that we are going to be doing, and that's how we are differentiated.
Correct, correct. Interesting, Nagesh. Now, I'm sure COVID had a lot of impact in across industries, right? So, what was the impact of COVID specifically to your firm?
So, frankly speaking, the idea of the business came up during COVID. We incorporated it last year. Okay, and we went into the market just this year, just about 6 months back. So technically, the impact of COVID didn't happen, but all the benefits of COVID is what we are, now harvesting.
Correct. That's quite interesting take on that, right? So now,
Yeah.
Nagesh, how has the market evolved over the past couple of years, and what was your go-to-market strategy? Since you mentioned that you launched just 6 months back, so how is it that you have planned your go-to-market strategy?
So we have a 18-month horizon right now. Okay, our 18-month horizon is purely D2C. We are going to go D2C, and we are going to be completely, targeting this audience, right? Um, So, on one hand, there was a worry that the 40 to 60-year-old audience might not be available, in the digital space, but that sort of has been proven wrong to us by a lot of data crunching that has happened. So there are platforms where this audience exists, and we are doing all our possible interventions to sort of capture them. That's one. So D2C is going to be the go-to-market strategy for us. The second thing we are doing actively and is that we are going to be doing community building. So there's a big demand, for creating a community building exercise for this audience, right? So we eventually end the our vision in the next maybe 5 years is to be the go-to brand for the mature adults. So whether it is nutraceutical, skincare, whether it is about clothing, whether about fashion, any solution that they are looking from the life stage perspective, we want to be the go-to platform for them. So that's that. And then post 18 months, Mohit, we are also looking at exports. There have been feelers that we've got from some European countries for our products, so we're evaluating that. And then we will do a omni-channel act.
Correct, correct, correct. That's quite makes sense as well. So as to speak in the segment that we are operating, right? Primarily,
Right,
correct.
right.
What are the key trends that you have seen in the market, over the past 6 months or while you were developing your product? So I'm sure you might have noticed some trends or some changes here and there in the market. So if you can shed some light over there.
So the trends, as I mentioned to you earlier, the one of the biggest trend is the innate desire of the audience that we're talking to live life for themselves, right? So gone are the days when they will want to sort of scrounge and keep money aside for the future generation, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, right? While that fear still exists, but today this audience is saying that no, and when I have done my part, now what I want to do is that I want to enjoy life. So some of the changes that has happened, and COVID has sort of exacerbated this, is again the 40 to 60-year-old, a lot of empty nesters, right? Children going out to study, or children are moved out, or a lot of divorces have happened, right? A lot of single people. Then the other thing is that this entire what should I say, awareness about self health, right? How can I take care of health in my hands rather than going for a curative solution? I want to do a preventive solution, and that's where the entire nutraceutical play happens. So people are today willing to pick up certain nutraceutical products off the shelf on their own, in the hope of preventing ill health, right? So these are some of the consumer changes that have happened. From a market perspective, if you look at D2C has boomed, right? More and more consumers are coming onto the digital platform, and more older audience are also coming into the digital platform. Payment mechanisms have become easier, okay, over a period of time. So that is an added boon to the entire ecosystem. So these are some things that are which augur positive, for the D2C business and for us also.
Right. You rightly mentioned that, people are now used to the fact of buying online, making online payments. So earlier it used to be a fear criteria that, okay, if I do online payment, it might go wrong, it might go right, right? But that has evolved a lot in past few years. So that's quite good to see. Right. So Nagesh, that brings me to my last question for today, right? So where do you position yourself, rather your firm, in the next 3 years or so?
So 3 years is a long time because the dynamics of the market are such that you're changing almost every day. Okay, but we have a long-term vision, and as I mentioned, we want to be, we are today India's first and only brand that is providing curated solutions for the 40 plus mature adults, and we want to remain that way. We want to come in with interventions and products and services, for the 40 to 60-year-old, which nobody else is offering in the marketplace. That's our long-term vision. So as I mentioned, we want to be the platform where people will come in, for various things. It could be, finance, it could be, health, it could be nutrition, it could be skincare, it could be, fashion, and so on and so forth. So we want to be this go-to platform, but the task right now is to create a brand, right? We're coming from a brand first approach. So we want to become the lighthouse brand for the 40 to 60-year-old, and say that if there is a skincare solution you're looking for, if there's a nutraceutical solution you're looking for at the age that we are talking to, then we are the only brand that are providing you. So we need to own this position, and having owned this position, then we could do a slew of other things. So that's really our plan, and that's really the vision on the business. I'm not getting into numbers. God has been kind. We have been hitting our numbers on a day-to-day basis, on a month-on-month basis, and the trend is quite positive. We have about 2,500 customers now, and we have got over almost 3 to 4% repeat buyers, which is good for a 6-month-old startup. I'm given to understand by my peers, and we do constant consumer listening, and they are quite happy with the product and the kind of efficacy that is delivering. So these are some, salient points of SilverEdge so far.
Correct, correct. Quite interesting numbers out there, right? So, uh, interesting, amazing. So that brings me to my end of the questions for you today, Nagesh. It has been a lovely discussion. I personally got
Thank
to
you.
know a lot. So to be honest, I was introduced very first. This was my very first brand where you are targeting 40 to 60-year-old people, and you're very clear about that, right? So that's quite
Right,
interesting.
right.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nagesh. It was a pleasure having you over here with Startup Story.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.